everyone. My name is Zeta Ceti. This is Green Rush Revolution. We are here live at MJUnpacked 2024 in Atlantic City, New Jersey. I'm here with Marc Beginin, CEO of Prodigy Processing Solutions. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good. How about yourself?
Awesome. You enjoying the show?
It's a great show.
Yeah.
It really is. First time in Atlantic City.
Nice.
First time doing an MJUnpacked show.
Okay.
Everything's been great.
That's awesome. So tell us about Prodigy, man. What do you guys do? How you guys are active, and what are you doing in the space?
So Prodigy Processing Solutions, we manufacture and develop technology and equipment for extraction, for cannabis extraction and hemp extraction. So Prodigy is actually an outgrowth of my former company, which was Precision Extraction Solutions.
I remember that company.
Yeah, there you go. I was the founder, largest shareholder, and CEO of Precision Extraction Solutions when we were getting courted for an acquisition by Agrify Corporation, publicly traded on the NASDAQ. And I got outvoted.
Really?
Yes. So in our operating agreement, we had what's called drag-along rights. So if you get dragged through a transaction, you get certain contractual benefits. One of them was no non-compete. So you'd think that would just kill the deal, but it didn't. They went through it. So without a non-compete,
You were able to do Prodigy.
being cash-rich, job poor overnight,
Wow.
Prodigy was born shortly thereafter.
That's awesome.
And it's just based on 8 years of lessons learned, better equipment, better technology, better people, better suppliers, better everything.
Fascinating. I remember Precision came out. I remember I was talking to probably a bunch of your sales staff about precision extractions back in the day, and at another conference probably. But what got you into extraction, just in general, like your story behind that?
I'm actually, my prior life, attorney, civil licensed attorney.
Okay.
So I was just north of Detroit, the Detroit area. I was doing a lot of criminal defense work. So some people in the cannabis industry would hire me either because they already got in trouble, but one really smart guy, 15 years my junior, gave me a retainer just in case something happened.
Right.
You know, and,
Right.
and we became cool. We started doing consulting work in the cannabis industry.
Sure.
This was in 2014, and he had brought the idea about extraction. If we wanted, if I wanted to start an extraction equipment company with him. And I said, absolutely, let's do it. And then my next question was, what's extraction?
Right.
I had no idea. No idea.
Were you a consumer of cannabis too at the time?
Not so much, no.
Okay, okay.
At that point, I quit smoking when I turned 14. I hadn't touched it since. I mean, and years later, yeah, I started dabbling again. And,
Right.
and the first time I had tried it, it's so much stronger than I remembered.
It is. I mean, I just turned 47 today, and basically it's completely so much stronger these days than when I was younger.
I literally couldn't make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. No, seriously, the first time. And I just crawled in a fetal position and prayed for it to end. So I learned to now just do it in much smaller doses because it is so much stronger.
So there must have been a huge learning curve coming from being just an attorney without any understanding about the scientific extraction of cannabis, moving into an extraction lab scenario. I mean, I bet that was a huge learning curve for you guys.
Well, it was, but we had, again, my partner, sort of a Mark Zuckerberg college dropout genius type.
Okay.
So he had that side together. I had the business, legal, marketing.
Understood.
So we quickly grew, I mean, from a $45,000 investment in 2014, like the end of 2014.
That was a pretty early game.
Yeah, we started in December 2014. So that $45,000 investment turned into over $40 million in revenue in 2019.
That's amazing.
Yeah, we grew like wildfire. So now we had, at one point we had 66 people working for us, or with us, and COVID ruined a lot of stuff.
For me too, man.
And that was pretty much a story of not success, survival, and getting through that.
Especially from a manufacturing standpoint. I mean, all the equipment, the warehousing, the shipping. God, it must have been a tough one for you.
Yeah. No, it was tough, and it was tough on all our suppliers as well. And
that's what I mean.
We weren't just the #1 extraction equipment company. We were also the #1 distributor of all the ancillary products, like vacuum ovens and distillation equipment and chillers.
Wow.
So with all these companies, we had a lot of their inventory, and all of a sudden they want it all back or pay for it right now, and I'm like, take it back, you know. Yeah, it was rough.
Wow.
It was
But now
rough.
we're here in a new day and age, man. We're past that. Now we have Prodigy. So, future of Prodigy, you guys coming out with any like new types of scientific ways of extraction, or what does that whole thing look like in that world?
Yeah, well, our equipment is more efficient than anybody's, meaning it can process larger amounts and faster and colder. So our equipment is the only equipment that's rated to, actually to negative 300 degrees Fahrenheit.
Okay.
That cold. But you would never go below 150-ish, you know, because that's where butane freezes, and that would be
Yeah.
very bad. So when you operate that cold, and generally speaking for operational temperatures, negative 85, negative 90, so at that cold temperature, you don't have to winterize. So that winterize means separating the fats, wax, lipids from the cannabis crude oil. So, but because it's operating so cold, it automatically separates it.
That's amazing.
Yeah, just kind of like when you put chicken noodle soup in the fridge and it just all,
yeah.
it's at the top. You
Yeah,
just,
yeah.
That's it.
Just wipe it off.
Just wipe it off, it's gone.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so we have, nobody's can operate as cold as us. And we can do that because all of our equipment is rated 316L stainless steel. So pharmaceutical grade stainless steel.
Right.
So to go that cold, you have to have special materials, like for example, the metal.
Right. And do you guys offer like hydrocarbon extraction and CO2 extraction and all the various types of extraction, or specifically a certain type?
Our main thing is hydrocarbon, so butane, propane, or mix. But we have assisted customers for, they want an ethanol system, so we will work with third parties and set that up for them. CO2, not so much. I don't think it's a good, you know, I couldn't sell that, you know, just because I don't think it's going to be very productive.
It's so
for our
funny. I see the
customers.
difference between those two. And, you know, originally states, you know, weren't really allowing spark-free environments, right? Or really like focused on that. They were all looking at CO2. That was the big thing. But but under your under like even just your experience and knowledge and understanding, thorough knowledge and understanding, you believe that hydrocarbon is way better than CO2 in some regards. So I don't know. What is your opinion on that?
All regards. Yeah, no, all. It's just faster. It retains the chemical compounds that you want, and it doesn't take what you don't want.
Sure.
Like I believe chlorophyll's one of them that like CO2 would pull. Ours doesn't. I just don't see a reason for it. So if you want to do commercial, like production, it is the way to go. Now, if you want to just blast through like a ton in a short amount of time, but again, not have a full extraction, and like you're gonna, you know, that's what ethanol does a great job for that. There's other ways too, like solventless is great, but you have to have a great beginning strain product flower. If you don't, well, you're not going to have a good. It's basically good in, good out, and the opposite.
Quality in, quality out.
Yeah. So where butane, propane, hydrocarbon extraction is not so strain dependent.
Yeah, it's very fascinating to see the evolution of this, you know, and you've been there since almost the beginning, but, you know, certainly seeing it go onto that and sort of moving into a direction we are going to have to see mass scale. And I would imagine some of your customers are not just cannabis customers, they're also hemp customers too as well. I mean, are you seeing a lot of burgeoning growth on that side too as well?
Hemp's big now. Yeah, hemp's big. Cannabis is, you know, certainly, you know, still growing. I mean, we're in Jersey here it is.
Yeah.
Well, in order to accommodate both the hemp customers and the cannabis and move into the grow, we're just releasing as we speak a freeze dryer, and one holds this 500 pounds of flower to freeze dry. So now this is where, in cultivation, you need to dry it once you harvest it, and they hang it up in these barns.
Yeah.
But doing that, now it's susceptible to infestation, bugs, and
Right.
little itsy bitsy spider could ruin your life. Mold, you know, like I say, you put a tomato on here and come back in 5 days, see what it looks like.
Yeah.
And then even after the drying, they need to keep it cold, refrigerated, you know, frozen, whatever. So if you freeze dry it, no mold, no infestation, you're just basically pulling out the water. And now there's also a big movement to, you know, even smoke freeze-dried flour. If you want to, you can always inject moisture back into it. So these freeze dryers now get us into the farm, into the grow side as well. And a lot of, whether it's solventless or whatever, even going into hydrocarbon, you could even use it for CO2.
Right.
Yeah, you can. So you can extract it later. And
Yeah.
so it's one of those new products that we're coming out with.
Okay, I see. You're providing this product. So both growers and processors.
Yeah, they both use it. Yeah.
Yeah, because you got to get flash frozen product, especially like places like Humboldt
Right.
in Northern California. I mean, that was always a very common thing, especially, there's taking flash freezing everything and then taking the biomass to.
Yeah, and this is sort of the opposite. We're taking out all the moisture,
Right. That's awesome.
so then you don't just be dry.
Right, that's amazing. And then with
Yeah.
Prodigy too as well, do you guys do full setups? You bring the full teams out to set everything up, train
Yep.
everybody, SOPs, the whole deal?
Yeah, everything. We do everything from architecture to MEPs. We work with a third-party construction company, all 48 contiguous states, to do even construction if the customer wants
Nice.
it. So we do the whole design build down to specing toilet seats and everything. And move on to equipment, installation, training, aftercare support, so everything, basically soil to oil.
Amazing, amazing. That's
Yeah.
amazing. So for the future of Prodigy, what do you guys see that going to?
Well, the talk right now about rescheduling from Schedule 1 to Schedule 3.
Obviously, that'll put us all to jump the light speed to a certain degree.
It's interesting because I don't, like, lawyer, a lot of M&A, a lot
Yeah.
of, I mean, I've been through all of this. So a lot of people are talking about Schedule 3, how great it is because you get this 280E IRS tax deduction, which is
I mean, that's just one of the benefits. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's a lot of people don't care in this industry because they're already
Already used to this environment.
yeah, and their marketing business is separate, so they're not ordinary business deductions. If in a cash business, it's like it doesn't really affect them that much, but it is something. It is something, especially for the larger players that really need to tap into that. But it's not really going to matter for anything recreational.
No.
So Schedule 3, a couple of the drugs that are on that, like ketamine,
prescription.
so ketamine and Xanax, for example, is on Schedule 3. It's still a 10-year felony. So it's not going to open up like
No.
banking relationships or anything like that. But what it is going to do, and this is why it seems obvious why it's that they would move to Schedule 3. Pharma.
Of course.
That's it.
I was
That's
gonna
it.
say that.
So you can kiss medical marijuana goodbye. It's going to all become pharma. It's all going to be prescriptions. It's all going to be governed by the FDA.
Yeah.
In anticipation of this, again, this is why all of Prodigy's equipment is pharmaceutical.
Right. to
Yeah.
spec.
So you have food GMP, good manufacturing practices, and then you have pharma. Ours is ready for pharma,
amazing.
and we have traceability all the way back, like on the metal, to the source. Because the last thing you want is metal leaching in the process that ends up in the end product, and a lot of the stuff they're not testing for now, because you have the local health departments that are overseeing these processing operations when they're too busy like checking it out like Waffle House to make sure that the cooks are wearing gloves and hats, and they don't understand these things. But this is why the FDA coming is going to be a big deal, but pharma is going to be indicative of what's going to be required on the recreational side, because they're going to still have to abide by those standards. And if they're using equipment that doesn't meet those standards, you don't have traceability on the metal. Or we just announced.
It's no longer compliant.
But there's no oversight. There's not like that oversight.
Yeah.
But there will be.
Well, see, what's interesting about this, James, is that at least from my lens of the landscape, going back, a good ways, all the way to Prop 215 in California. And seeing right now, we've never seen it where we have a presidential election. We have a president that's trying to whip votes for their presidential election. We have the first sitting president that mentioned cannabis in the State of Union address. We have the HHS that has given their formal recommendation, and the DEA usually doesn't go against that recommendation. I mean, just the environment is right for a potential change, whether it be Schedule 3, whether it be descheduling. I mean, honestly, the DEA can say we want to deschedule it, but obviously they're not going to do that. Right. So we can reasonably assume that potentially in the first time in the history of the cannabis industry ever, that this is a possibility. So I wanted to see what your thoughts were on that, how you guys are preparing for it. It sounds like this is the way you're preparing for it, is getting everything really tightened down for that.
Yeah, and we're the only ones doing it. I mean, even we just announced our strategic partnership with Solvent Direct. They supply the solvents, whether it's butane, propane, and whatever other mixed media that one might use, because they have traceability on their solvent, and even the canisters that hold their solvent all the way back to where it started. And you have to have that to for pharma GMP, but food grade GMP, you definitely, if you don't have to, you want to, so you're not going to poison your customers.
Right.
Yeah. I know, because everything now is about like safety of operators, safety of property, things blowing up, but the issue is nobody's looking at consumer safety. That's coming, and I think responsible processors really start thinking about this stuff, because again, I know this from my former company, again, Prodigy's made in the USA, pharmaceutical grade stainless steel, right, 316L. A lot of our competitors and a lot of the stuff that's out there, because a lot of these labs are Frankenstein, they'll say they have 304 stainless steel. It's a different grade, but it's good enough. But I call it Chinesium.
Chinesium.
Yes. You don't know what it is, and
oh my God, hilarious.
Yeah, and talk. This is not good for customers. Or, for consumers.
Yeah, for sure.
So, you don't know what's coming off of it. You ever watch Aaron Brockovich?
Aaron Brockovich? Yeah.
That green stuff, that chromium stuff.
Yeah.
Bad.
Yeah. Oh man.
Made a whole movie about it.
I know.
Yeah, that's why you don't want metal leaching.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Well, Mr. Beginning, thank you so much for coming on the
my
show.
pleasure. Thank
I
you
love
for
your
having
story,
me,
man.
Yeah.
I think it's amazing, definitely. This is Green Rush Solutions. My name is Zeta Ceti. Check out Prodigy for all your processing needs. These guys are the best. Thank you guys so much. We'll see you again.